sources of entrepreneurial success. Sources of entrepreneurial success are boiled down into prior industry experience. Kind of makes sense. Nothing really exceptional there. Lessons learned from previous successes, also important. The company's management team, who you pull together as part of your management team, can be a significantly powerful source of success. Lessons learned from failures. I go back to the snow skiing example. If you've ever gone snow skiing, bike riding, skateboarding, ice skating, you don't get good until you fall down. Lessons learned from failures are often the most powerfully retained lessons. Good fortune, I'll never give up. I'll never turn down good luck. If I can be lucky, I'll take that any day of the week, and the other things you see here. One characteristic stands out is diversity. There are successful entrepreneurs across the board, regardless of age, sex, race, gender, any of that kind of stuff. All of those kinds of things are really pretty much irrelevant. Now, I will not say that there are no differences in terms of the degree of difficulty that might exist and the obstacles in your way, but certainly we live in a country that has never been more ripe and open with opportunity than the United States is at this day and time. It is so easy to start a business that the only thing stopping people is motivation. Money is not an obstacle. Ideas are not an obstacle. Technology is not an obstacle. Those things are all pretty easy to come along with. And the last lecture of this class, we're going to talk about funding and finding money. And I'm going to try to impress upon you the degree to which you hold the cards.
Can I?
Yes.
Can I make a counterpoint to this?
Yeah, sure.
So I think right now, personally, I think this is actually, from my understanding, it's a pretty difficult time to actually start up a business.
Really? Why do you think that?
I think that for a multitude of reasons. So in the age of, there's a few reasons. First one is that the traditional business model is, if you look at all the current big businesses that are really starting up, they aren't really the traditional startup anymore. They're mostly huge venture capitalist things with big multi-million-dollar backing. Because if you're starting up an idea, all these large businesses have the capital to essentially crush you.
I'll tell you what, let me do this. Okay, who's speaking? I can't see your name. Is
Aiden?
Aiden? Okay, I thought I recognized your voice. So Aiden, do me a favor and let's try to have this conversation as we get towards the end of the course. By the time we've gone through a lot of this stuff, and by the time we get to the last lecture about capital funding and raising, I would love to have that conversation about the degree to which this is a more difficult or a less difficult time. And I'm not trying to shut you down because I think it'd be an interesting conversation, but I want to fuel you with more thoughts and more knowledge
sure.
before we get into that, okay?
Yeah.
And bring it back up if I forget it, but please do bring it back up as we get towards the end of the class, especially during or after the last lecture on funding and financing.
All right. And one other thing I wanted to ask about was, so there's 2 points. One was the funding, and the other one was consider Amazon, how ferocious these larger businesses can be to crush a competing business.
Yeah, that's a strategy Amazon did not invent. That strategy has been around ever since the dawn of time.
But we haven't seen businesses losing $200 million a month to crush diapers.com.
Okay, so let's have that conversation.
All right.
I'm not a big Amazon fan, but I can argue both for and against them.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
let me, I appreciate your wanting to engage in that conversation, but we will get lost down those paths and not get the course done if we allow that. So please, let's save that for later.
All right, sounds good. Thank you,
Okay.
Professor.
Okay, so I will submit that there has never been a better time. And I'm going to tell you right here in this thing right here that I'm holding in front of your screen is a device that gives you, each one of you, more communication power, more marketing power, more technological power than even the largest corporations had 25 years ago. 25 years ago, what you have in your hands, the ability to reach several billion people through this single device, gives you more power than the largest corporations had 25 years ago. And that is an example of how technology has changed the dynamics of the competitive world. That is not without challenges, as Aidan has brought up, but it has opened the door in ways that it's never been opened in the past.